Would it go hand in hand then with state borders opening? If you're allowing more people in from overseas, would you allow more people in from interstate?
Well, no, that doesn't go hand in hand because they go into quarantine. And at the moment, we have our borders open to Tasmania, to South Australia, to the Northern Territory, and to Western Australia.
Premier, did the pollsters ask Queenslanders about border closures and whether they wanted them open or shut?
Ipsos, it is my understanding, has asked numerous questions across the spectrum on a whole range of issues that they have done with every other state, including the federal government. So it's interesting that Queensland's just being singled out here, but let me say this very clearly. Everyone just needs to have a cold shower when it comes to this because every other state is asking a whole range of questions about how people are feeling about being in lockdown and coming out of lockdown.
Locally, there's concern about the impact of coronavirus restrictions on backpacker numbers. Yesterday we heard interim recommendations as part of a joint standing committee on suggesting that Queensland government look at something similar to what's happened in the Northern Territory around bringing workers over from Vanuatu. Is that something that you're looking at and perhaps discussing this Friday?
Look, I haven't seen the agenda yet, but of course we have put in place agricultural protocols with other states. If it means people coming from overseas, we have to be very careful about that in terms of quarantine. Like I said, there's COVID in other countries, but we want to work together with industry to make sure that they have the workers that they need.
Just have a general question about quarantine,
yes.
The whole quarantine system. Is it a matter of telling hotels, you know, the government needs, you know, to put these people here, or do they have to agree?
The hotels have to agree as well, and because we've run this Good to Go campaign, there are a lot of people who are actually travelling across Queensland and want to visit our hotels. Queensland's always been a tourist state. So what we are seeing, like I remember I went to Hervey Bay, was it last month or something, we had to ring around 3 hotels until we found a hotel that could take a booking because everyone was coming there to see the whale season. So it has to be agreement with the hotels, but also too there's a lot of resources that are needed, transferring people to the hotel, making sure they're doing the right thing, because don't forget, when you're looking at quarantine hotels, it's exactly what happened in Victoria. So we have to make sure that we have the world-class standard when it comes to dealing with this. But look, there's some other ideas that we have that we'll raise at National Cabinet.
I mean, how much money was spent on leasing of the plane and why wasn't it put towards purchasing Queensland's own plane?
Yeah, look, we looked at that and it is, the costs are just too much. But the leasing is a good idea. I said earlier on it was $15 million over the 5 years. But we actually had that situation last year where literally planes were on their way from New South Wales and had to be turned back. And we understand New South Wales was going through a horrific fire season. I'm not criticising that. But what I am saying is that now we have our own plane here. I've written to the federal government about providing some extra resources. I was knocked back. But now we have our own, and Queenslanders can feel satisfied that if anything does happen, we can deploy this aircraft at a moment's notice. So it's great to have the crew here in Bundy as well.